That's better. We're going to play the Check It game, and it's but Caroline from Bubbly Maths presenting the resources that AIMSEC produce, and we're going to play this game in just a moment. While I'm busy sharing, I'm going to do my best to both share and talk at the same time, which is no mean feat for me. Okay, so these resources are written for AIMSEC, which is not by myself, by the way, I'm presenting them, which is an organization that provides professional development for teachers in Africa at no cost to the teachers. So any fundraising I do is for bursaries for the teachers, so it doesn't cost the teachers. These teachers work in rural areas in Africa and disadvantaged areas in Africa, so that they can attend these really high quality professional development courses. And I'm just now creating a watch party. And the idea behind these resources is that they're easy to access, don't take much bandwidth, and they're very engaging. So it's providing richness, making it more, making it so that when you play the games, you don't just learn, you don't just practice, but you actually get more insights into more experience and more quiz. And there we go. It's me talking. It helps you know numbers better. It helps you become familiar with numbers. This particular game helps you know numbers better. And it's something you can start, it's called low threshold, high ceiling, which means you can start wherever you are and then grow it to a point. So if you're on single digit numbers, or if you're on up to 100, then as you get better at it, you can make the numbers up to 1,000 and up to 10,000, or do more division, make the numbers more complicated, go to decimals. You can use it in a way that helps you and keep it fun for you and your friends. So here we go, we're going to play it. And looking at the wrong screen. So we've got, oh, hello, James. Hello, Miss McGough. And Neelam. Hello, Neelam. Get Rory to come and look. Where's that Rory? Get Rory to come along and have a look. Okay, now I'm just looking for the screen where I can see what you can see, so that, yes, that's better. Okay, so bring this forward a little bit. And here's the game. It's very simple. What we're going to do is draw, bring it forward and out of the shot a little bit. That's clever, not okay. Now, what you need to do is just draw 3 ovals, and in between them, 3 rectangles. And we're going to join them. And then we're going to use a different color to draw the numbers. So what we're going to do is we can choose. We can choose numbers. We'll start with a little one, just to show we're going to do addition. Now, if you have addition, you'll always have subtraction. If you're not clear why, it's not called the Check It game for nothing. If you're not clear why, we're just going to come up. So I'm going to do some very simple numbers. I'm going to just put a 10 here. I'm going to put a 10 here. Now, the addition is that plus that equals that, that plus that equals that, that plus that equals that. So if we have a 10 there, then the next person playing is going to put, it's got to be less than 10, because that plus that equals 10, so we'll go for a 6. Because another thing you could do is you could use this to practice your number bonds. You could make all of these 10. Oh, that's an interesting question. If all of those were 10, what would that be? And what would that be? That might be an interesting revelation. So it depends where you are. So we're not going to make them all 10. We're going to make, I'm going to force you to do some subtraction. So we're going to, wrong color. I'm going to make this number Now we can decide whether or not we can use 0. I'm not going to use 0. I'm going to make that number 7. So what does this number have to be? Now you don't have to go there. You can go over here and say, well, I'm going to make this, I'm going to do something here. Whatever you do with that, that and that have to work. If you put a number here and that number doesn't work to make that number, then you get -1 point. So whoever puts a number in that breaks the, so if I put, if I decided I'm going to just put a number in here, I'm going to put a 3 in here. And now, so 6, to make that one correct, that has to be a 1. And now to make that one correct, that has to be a 2. But 2 add 6 is not 10. So that number, which is the first number to break it, that's the first number to break it. That's the number that goes off. So that person gets -1 point. So that's the, so that's person 1 as, let's do it in the color, person 2 and person 1. No, person 1 was red, weren't they? Person 1 and then person 2 was purple. So in this case, person 1 gets -1 point because person 1 put a number in that broke it. So let's do it differently. Let's continue with this. Let's say now person red says, okay, well, let's put whatever that makes into 10. So that's going to be a 4. Now, that's easy, that can be finished. So that's the game. It's quite simple. Now we're going to do multiplication. Make the numbers a little bit bigger maybe. Let's say that we can set the rules. The rules are numbers between 100 and 0, so that doesn't include 100 and doesn't include 0. If it goes over 100, it's broken, and whoever puts a number that causes it to go over 100. And then at the end of the game, by the way, you both check it, and if there's a mistake on it that nobody spotted, then you both get -1. And if you, or you could make it, or you actually, no, you could make it, I'm changing the rules as I go here. I think the person that spots the mistake, if you completed it and nobody had noticed, the person that spots the mistake gets +1 point for spotting the mistake. And in the meantime, if you spot the mistake before you get to the end, then the person that makes the mistake, they get -1 point. And and so the idea is to give you the incentive to keep checking it. Oh my goodness, why is the game called the Check It Game? It's called the Check It Game. So it's all about checking it. And you'll get, and the first person to reach 5 points wins. Okay, so now, so in this case, I suppose that the player number 2 didn't make any mistakes, so player number 2 gets a point, and player number 1 gets -1 point. You can work out the rules, the scoring, but you work out the scoring so that the incentive is to win, the incentive is to check it, to get it right. To get it right, then you can get to 5 points. Okay, now multiplication. To put multiplication in the middle, boing, boing. And where it says right, so it's got to stay under 100, so I'm going to put 30 here. Right, so purple says, okay, I've got to make this stay under 100, so I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to make it 3. So red says, okay, well, I know what that is, that's safe. So now I'm going to go over here and make sure this stays under 100. So that's, what would it be? We can make that 2. And actually, now we've completed it. All we need to do is do some multiplication. So that's 6, that's 90, and that's 60. Well, that was easy, that was super easy. And so you both get 1 point. You both got it, you both get 1 point. Okay. Now, you could make the numbers a lot more complicated. But what did Tony do? Tony went with, the thing is, if you want to win, you can also make the numbers more difficult. You can do more difficult things. So we could put 72 here. That might help. It helps you know your times tables when you're playing this game. And if you don't know your times tables, it helps you work them out. So now it has to be whole numbers. So they all have to be prime numbers. In the middle won't work because they've got to have at least 2 factors in addition. Well, I suppose 1 could be one of them. That's an interesting point. That's a very interesting point. So I'm going to put 12 here, and then purple decided to put 12 here, which means that that's 1. Okay, so far we've got it. Now, putting what number should we put in here? Should we go ahead and put a number in here, or are we going to work something out first? So what purple thinks is I'm not going to risk it. We're going to put 6 in there. And then, oh, that makes it easy, doesn't it? And then you've got a 6 there. So that made it super easy by using 1 there. I just wanted to illustrate. And now the final thing we're going to do is we're going to use it to, and we're not going to multiply. Yes, we're going to multiply our fractions. We're going to use it for fraction multiplication. I found this actually extremely useful. I'm going to keep the numbers, again, simple, but I'm going to use different numbers to what we used last night. So I'm going to say, start with 2/3. Now 2/3, again, I'm going to keep it simple. You can make it more complicated and have at it. I'm going to put 3 here. So what is 2/3 of 3? So if we've got 3 units, those are all units, and there's 3 of them, that's 1/3 of 3. That's 2/3 of 3. That's 2 whole units, and each one is a whole unit because we're looking at 2/3 of a whole unit, which is 3. So that's 1/3. That's 2/3 of 3. So it is 1, 2. Whoopsie. So that is 2. Right, got that. Next. What's our next challenge? Let's see, we have a fraction, and you've got just a fraction of 3. So what if we now said the fraction is now 1/2? Oops, purple. 1/2 of 3. Well, 1/2 of, oh, not 1/3 of 3, 1/2 of 3. That was going to work out. It's going to be interesting. So 1/2 of 3 is, well, we can't write 1.5 because this is all fractions. So 1/2 of 3, this is the one full 3 solid. So we put what? Well, half of each one is 0.5, or 1/2 of 3. But if we've got half of the whole of 3, then we can go, this is up to there is 1/2 of 3. So it's, we split it up into smaller, we can say it's 1, 2. I'm getting myself into a muddle here now. 1/2 of 3 is 1.5, which is 3/2, is what I wanted to say. So yes, it's fractions, we're doing fractions. So it's a top-heavy fraction, and it's 3/2, so it's and that's, I've coloured that in, and that's confusing me. By putting those diagonals in, that's confusing me. So what we're doing is we're taking, that's it, taking 3 halves out. So it's 3 halves, and that's 3/2. That's what it is. Putting those diagonals in, I was doing some more fractions, which I didn't need to do. Right, now we've got one left. We've got 3 over 2. We've got 1.5 of 2/3. Okay, so 2/3 of 1. 2/3 of 1. So we're going to split 1 into 3. 1, 2. That's 1. So whenever we have a solid block, that's 1. And what we want, 3 halves. So we've got 2/3 and 3 halves. Okay, well, what if we then split it into 6 instead of 3? Now we can have 2/3 of 1 is 1, 2, that's 4. 6 is 2/3 of 1. And now we can have half, an extra half, which is, we split it into 6, then that's easy, we've got, hold on, we've got more than 1. Right, I'm getting myself into a muddle, aren't I? I want to illustrate this, and I've chosen numbers that I haven't practiced before. So I'm just working on making it, working on making a simple, so this is it. This is actually a perfect demonstration of how to get yourself into a muddle, and then in the process of getting yourself out of the muddle, you actually learn a lot more. And that's actually a perfectly good way of doing it. And as you can see, well, I can do the multiplication. I know what the answer is. That's not a problem. That's why I confidently decided to do it. But you're probably going, it's this, it's that. But the thing is, if you know the answer, then you make your fractions more difficult. It's the ones that are now struggling that don't know the answer yet, that this is not working for. This is not working. Right. We basically want, whatever it is, we want 1.5 times that, because it's 3 over 2. So we've got, okay, we've got 2/3. That's it. I think I've got it now. We're going with our 6 because we've got 2/3 of 6. 1, 2, 4, 6. We've got 2/3 of 6. That's 1 2/3 of 8, and then we've got another half of that. So we're just going to count up the purple shaded area. That's it. So we've got 2/3 of 6. We've got one of those, and then we've got another. We've got half of 2/3 of 6. So what's half of 2/3? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's only half of that. The extra bit is only half of that. So how many? That's 1/6. Another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm hoping I've got this right. I'm now going to write this because I've got 6 sixths here. I'm just counting those little bits. I think I might. Right. What I'm doing using this is I'm making it 6 6, and 6 6 is 1. So all I've done is added up those sixths there. And if you do it, and that's how I'm working it out. So I've got a full 1, so I've got 1/2, so that's 1/2, 1 plus a half, 1.5. So that is also 1.5. So there's my 1, 2/3, that's 1, and then I've got half of that again, which is 1/3. And so I've divided it up that way so that we could see it. Maybe I didn't have to divide it up that way. Let me just do it one more time. This is seeing myself get in a muddle live in action, so that if you get yourself in a muddle, you know it's okay. There you go. I actually don't need to do the 6 at all, because, do I? No, I don't. I don't need to do the 6 because I've got 2/3 there. I've got a 2/3. That's my 2/3. Got that in the bag. Got one of those because it's more than 2/3. It's 1.5 of 2/3. And now all I need is half of that in this one. So that's another third. So we don't actually need to go to 6 as a sort of sixth at all. I can just say it's 1/3 and then 2/3. Well, 1/3 plus 2/3 is 1. So, and there's it up. It's on there in the right color because that was it. Woo! Okay, so no mistakes were made because it was all being done during calculation. So everybody got a point. So we all get a point, and we keep going. Yes, interesting. Right, lesson, note to self, make sure I've done the fraction before I attempt it to make sure I can illustrate it quickly without driving everybody bananas. But this does illustrate to grown-ups, if any grown-ups are watching, that if you learned to simply do, because some of you might have just been, even today, I don't know, might have been taught to multiply 2/3 times. So what I've done, and the reason why I struggle with this, is that I just do that and I multiply the top and the bottom, and it actually means nothing. It doesn't have a significance in terms of the actual quantity, in terms of the actual what is 3/2 of 2/3. I don't have a visual representation of it. So this for me is actually new. I've only just started doing this recently, and for me doing it this way, I'm learning to visualize what, in this example, what 2/3 of, what 3/2 of 2/3 is, or what 2/3 of 3/2 is. And so I actually don't mind modeling, getting in a model and then getting myself out of it, because I'm hoping that will help other people that are in the process of learning how to visualize, how to actually get a real meaning to fractions. Because they're not, they can be easy to grasp, but doing that doesn't help you grasp them. Some people might, I wasn't one of them. That was that's just manipulating numbers with no meaning to them. So this gives meaning to fractions, and that's what I encourage you to do. So there, I hope that's helped. I hope that hasn't bored you silly. So let me see. That's, and if you have a YouTube channel, by the way, hi Barbara. You could have got your accordion out, Barbara, and sung me a swan song for that one. And Andy's on. Hi Jen. Hi Smita. And hello Ruby. I don't know if you watched that or not. I don't know if it's still on or if I bored you, but that's, I hope that helps some people with fractions. And that's just one part of the game. I just got myself in a muddle on that. And we'll be playing the game again well, I'm going to be doing another live in just a moment, and then doing a replay. So I will be doing another live for the early years, doing it with dots. We're just going to do it with dots for early years. So hi Lisa, hi Russell, Vibeke, good day Vibeke. And Aileen, and said hello to Miss McGoffin, James and Neelam earlier. So if you have a YouTube channel, please do. We like our subscribe to our YouTube. So that's Maths Toys. Where I'm in the process of making a video specifically for this without getting myself in a muddle, with myself and Tony. And so that's going to go up very shortly. And then the Bubbly Maths YouTube channel, please subscribe to both of those. That's where all these lives go. So that my getting myself in a muddle will go onto YouTube for eternity. Well, for a while, and then if you please do share these videos that we're making on the group, and please do tell other people about the group. If you find this useful, please tell other people about it. I'm on every day, London time, 9 AM. I just realized, Jen, it's a bit early for you, isn't it? 9 AM, and doing for primary, so for 7 to, not just primary, 7 to 18-year-olds, and then 10 AM London time for early years, and in the evenings, during the weekend, we just play a game. On the weekdays, we prepare for what we're going to do the day after. So this is just games, although that was a bit tedious. But the thing is, it illustrates you've got to do the work to get it right. If you don't get it right, then you get points off, or you might just go, you know what, let's just do another number that we can cut with. But this is very simple. I was just looking for a way to illustrate it. As I say, that's how I would have done it until recently. And this is really important to actually understand what it means. Okay, so thank you. And I will end this live and see if anybody else, and then just double make sure that if there's any comments on the Making Maths Fun group here. Just refreshing, see if there's any comments in the group itself, because I was looking at the lives. Are there any comments in the group itself? Because sometimes I get comments, and so if they haven't come up yet and you have made a comment, I will respond to it later. So thank you very much, and I'll see you at 8 o'clock. Well, 10 o'clock I'll be doing a replay, so I'll be recording it right now and then doing a replay at 10. So see you in a minute if you want to do the early years session, and if not, see you at 8 o'clock tonight. Play again, that's London time, or 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, or we'll play some other variations of the game. And I will prepare them in advance this time. I just thought, oh, I can do this. No, it wasn't that easy for me to illustrate that. There we go, found it. Thank you very much. See you later.